So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream with live peoples, recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. And thank you all my subscribers, and thank you for watching my videos, and I hope you find them interesting. I'm just going to put that back where it was because it's too bright now. The lighting's a little bit strange today. Should be better. So I'm working in the Bennett Klein. This is part 2 of the Bennett Klein butterfly page, and I'm working with my Derwent pencils, pastel pencils. And these are a basic pastel, but they've just been put in a wooden case pencil, so they're easier to use and they don't have the mess. And you can be very precise with them as well. So they have a dual purpose. So I wanted to show you how I sharpen a pencil with a blade. So Derwent have brought out this sharpening guard, and basically it has a non-slip double rubber mat on the bottom. You put the pencil in and you can use a blade, it could be a Stanley knife, a scalpel, and you push here and turn the pencil until you get a point. But because this is a pastel and it's a pure pastel, so any pastel can be used as a watercolor. So I will show you how I make mine. Just looking for a little pot to put the shavings in. I seem to have lots of things. I have lots of pots, and I've got lots of pots with lots of things in. Oh, that will do. Bear with me 2 seconds. Just found 2 little pearls that used to go in the bead box. Whoops. So I found this little vase, so it may stay up. So I don't really want to make too much of a mess. Just push that up there slightly for a moment. It's going to make a mess, but so you put your pencil onto your Derwent guard, and I use this kind of slope as a guide, and you just slide it, and you don't want to dig in, you just want to kind of literally stroke. Now my blade isn't very sharp, and then turn that again. Now I do mine a little bit more because I normally don't sharpen mine to a point. But as you can see, when you really this guard is really holding this. I think it's because my blade isn't particularly sharp. And there is a way of putting these in. If you use one of these scalpels, always wear glasses, because these snap very easily, which is why Stanley knives are better. But they snap very easily and they fly across the room. And so really a Stanley knife should be better. And that's my little monster. And for some reason I can't find my blades. Let me see if I can find. No, I can't find what I want. So I keep I've had these blades for many years, and they're in little silver foil. That's the curved one, it would be. There is a way of getting these off as well as putting them on, and you must wear safety glasses or glasses, or sometimes I look away. That's a sharp one. That's a so I don't, that might not fit onto there. No, that's the wrong size for that one. It would be, wouldn't it? I have had these many years. Have a look, and again, you see they can be different sizes. That's a longer one. That's the same as this one. But you can get bigger, different size scalpels. So I'm going to change the scalpel. Now this is dangerous. So I think I like that blade, the longer blade, better. So I'll pop those all back in there. So that's my little drawer that used to be hidden from the girls when they were little. So I'm not going to use that one. So this is a scalpel blade. So what you need to do is to very carefully tease that up. Now we used to use the back at the bottom of our desks. I don't know why we did, but you can just tease that up and then pop it off. But it's not easy. So a Stanley knife is so much easier. And I don't think I'm strong enough. So I'm going to have to be naughty. I'm going to have to use... No, it's not going to do it. It's probably been on there quite a while, this one, actually. You just want to tease it, but again, you've got to be really careful because they'll snap and they'll fly. I just cannot believe I can't get this off now. Yeah, it's because it was really dirty and it's been on there a long time. So the way you put them on is you need that to fit onto there. And you get it so it's just caught in that little groove, and then you could probably use this actually, and then you look away, push it in, and again you've got to be very careful with these. I would always say use a Stanley knife because and it just slides straight on. A Stanley knife is so much easier. They're £5 or £6. The blades sit in the handle, so your blades are always safe, and they are. You just unscrew them, and they're so much easier to use. And you can retract the blade. So, but mine's disappeared. That's better. You see, this is why scalpels are used. So whatever blade you've got, but if you're not used to these, I would not suggest using them. We were taught when we were 16, I've been using them for many years, how to sharpen a pencil at college. And so, oops. So I kind of take off quite a lot of wood, and if you see, there's going to be this little fat tube. And now I'm going a lot slower because I don't want to if you were making your pencil, you just kind of continue and turning your pencil every time here. And you do this with the Derwent and the Inktense and all of them. But with the water base, like the Inktense, the Derwent watercolour pencils, you could do this, which, I can show you one that's been traditionally sharpened. There's a big difference. And you've got big stubby end here. Oopsie, put that back where I want it. So what I do is I get rid of this particular wood shaving. So this is all I waste. And then, no, this isn't flat, so I've got to be a little bit careful. And I've got my my hydrous at the other side as well. and then I kind of just the same way you would in here, is just turning. But if you do it like this, you just stroke all that and turning the pencil every time. So again, if you slip, you're away from yourself, and you've got to be a little bit careful because these are pastels. Now that's going to be enough for me. I don't really want any more of there. So you put the blade away safe. And then I think I used my little So I got the palette knife and just put 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops of water, and all those little pieces are now a watercolour. And they're, watercolour. So I'm not wasting them. And I'm going to let that dry. So that's my little tip for the day. Oops, tip for the day. Bear with me 2 seconds. I've done something to chat. This pencil, no, this is a pastel. This is a pastel pencil. But you sharpen all the pencils the same way. The graphite tone pencils that I showed you earlier, they will react in the same way. They're in my little book as well. But it's a pastel pencil. It's a Derwent Pastel. And this is the portrait set. So it's the pale set. And there's 36 in this set. There's actually 72 in the full set. So I put them in one of these Derwent sleeves, so I can just flip them over and use them. But only when I sharpened them, made them into a watercolour. So we started the start of this Bennett Klein. I think it was the day before. Was it Sunday? I think maybe. Didn't use that little pot, did I? So I've got, and I should use a bit of a smaller one. This is quite big. This is a taper point colour shaper, number 6. But again, if I can find some Derwent ones, I think I might indulge. Because I didn't realise I was looking at these to give them away to my girls, and I thought actually I can use them a bit longer. Oops, sorry, it's kind of doing its moment. So I'll zoom in a little bit. I don't think so. No, it definitely wouldn't. Not oils. No, oils is something else. I just can't see the book I need, and I can't remember because my brain's not with me. You can mix them with the rabbit skin glue. That is what you use instead of linseed oil. But no, it definitely wouldn't. It's a binder, and I can't remember what it's called. I can't see the book. No, it's definitely not oil. You mix an oil with something else. I think it's more like a resin actually to make the oil paint. I'll have a look. Oh, hi Lulu, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Anybody else I've missed? Scooby Girl, hi. Anybody else that I've missed? Just hoping this isn't too flashed out. So I'm going to zoom in and then carry on with this. I'm just going to take this there. So if I kind of zoom in a little bit, I hope the light looks okay. looks a little bit too blue on mine. I'll just take that back a bit. I don't really know why it's done that, but I think that colour's better. So that's just a kind of a sandy pink and a pale. So we had the terracotta, but again, if you touch these, they are going to come off on your fingers if you touch the ends. Could you shut the door, darling, please? Thank you. So I was quite pleased. It took me about an hour to do half that, so we've got the bottom half of the butterfly to do. And I think I was using Geranium Lake and Crimson. Crimson Lake is a little bit pink. But I'll turn this over. And this was my test page, so I think if I look at those, I can see. I don't think I use the terracotta. I think that's the pale, the darkest one, because that's too dark. Oh no, maybe I did. That's for the roses. So I'm going to start at this side because I'm left-handed, and these will smudge because these are pastels, so they will smudge. I've just actually got all the pencils out that I need. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Oh, I don't need the butterfly anymore, so that was a bit silly. I don't need the butterfly anymore. You can pop those back. They are very muted colours, but very pretty. I'm just thinking if I've got my phone somewhere. I could ask my daughter to Google it, actually. No, I can't see the book that I need. I might have a look in the interval. I'll come back to you at Scooby about that. But definitely don't put oil in your watercolors to get oil. Or into because this is a pastel. It's already had whatever it's mixed together to make it a pastel. Because although if it was just pure colour, it would just be a powder. So it's had something to it, and then they compress it into a pastel. But so it's the pure pigment that you need to mix with the binder. I know gum arabic is for watercolours, but as I said, I just cannot remember off the top of my head what oils are. But if you Google it, I'm sure people will tell you how to make your own colours. I think I watched on YouTube there are ladies that mix their own colours. But it's very difficult and it's very dangerous. That's why a lot of artists went nuts because it's extremely dangerous because of the fumes, and a lot of the pigments are poisonous and you're inhaling them all the time. So again, it's another reason why you don't really want to do it. And paints are cheap enough now. I might, Scooby says, am I going to paint something over the top when I'm done? I might do. It depends on what the first one does, if it'll smudge or not. But I think if it was loose, I would. But because it's just in this, I may not. Because your colours are ruined. If you ever watched pure pastel colorists, they use deep frames. And they never spray. Because it changes the colour. And they've just spent days on a pastel portrait or whatever. So normally they don't. No, they don't. They use deep frames so that nothing actually touches it. As long as nothing touches it, it's not going to move. Nothing is going to move off there unless something smudges it. Yeah, I can't remember it. As I say, it's a long time since I did all this work about inks and things. So we had two colours, and I've just got to remember what the third one was. I think it could be May Green. I think it's May Green. I'm just going to have a bit of a play. Unfortunately, my memory is not good. So that's that one. And then I normally do 3 colours. You can do more if you want, but 3 is ample. So you have a basic colour. I think that's too pale, May Green. Have a look at the greens. Dark olive, that's what it was. I'm pretty sure it was olive. No, I think it's May Green. I've got myself confused now. It could be May Green. Yep, it's May Green. So I blow the dust off and then I just smear it in. So it is May Green. So it's definitely May Green. And then I think I had... I don't know about olive green. That's the middle colour, isn't it? Yep. So that's the middle colour, May Green. And I don't think I went as dark as... Yes, it's not. That says it's dark olive, but it's not as dark as... You've always got to play with the colours. And these would go darker. And again, you could spend hours colouring it and then spray it and it ruins it. But lots of artists do different things. So I've got these 3 colours, and I wonder why I couldn't see. I've got my glasses on, goggles off. Again, there's some fat, chunky, there's no real... just wonder why that's doing that. Just put that there, see if it will kind of behave itself a little bit. That's a little bit better. The pencils have got sharp points on, but I'm just very gently touching, again, just on the inside, and then you can push it about with the blending tool, and I find that's the easiest way. So I'm just going to put that book. Sorry about that. You can tell where everybody is. So again, where it's pale, oh, actually where I think the light's hitting, I've done the palest. And again, it's just a kind of a very, just stroking it very pale, very gently. And then I find that I can actually probably do that for a little bit longer. And then when it's kind of everywhere else that's completely white gets a touch of the next colour. And this is the easiest way. So everywhere now that's white is easy, because I'm just going to just stroke a little bit of this in. And that's going to be the easiest. I'm just going to put a tiny bit on there, because that would be a highlight up there. And then the third colour is everywhere that's got a shade on it. So it's very easy, is these grey scales, because all the hard work's... Whoops, and I've just broken the pencil and cracked them because I pushed down too hard. So everywhere that's now got the darkest bit, I can put a little bit of this olive colour. Just the tiniest amount. Is that colour? That's actually a better colour. A little bit of a blow, because you want the loose most of it, and then just stroke all the pale again, just very carefully. Now I normally work like this just to stroke it, but to show you, you can see again just manipulating that very pale colour into all the top spaces, the palest spaces. And you can see it's pushed into... I could do with a slightly smaller one than this. but what it's doing is I'm manipulating it and pushing it about. And then when I've got the palest one, you can't see because of my thumb, sorry. Because I've got the palest one, I can then now go to the second one and push all that in. And you know roughly where you're going because you're just filling the gap between what now is white and up to the dark. It would be, I went over there a little bit. And then when you've finished everything else there, you then go over the darkest, and then you're kind of teasing the dark one. So I only use 3 colours because you've got a mid-tone, a highlight and a shadow. But you can use as many as you want, but I always think that's just enough. Because really I would use the same colour if I was doing a watercolour, and I would have either water or oils. I would add a lighter colour, and then I would add a complementary colour to give me the shadow. But I would use the initial colour that I used before because it's connected. And that's why you don't really want all colours out of a colour pan set, because you know, if you don't mix your own colours, you're not going to have a natural flow from one to the other. So there's just 3 colours there, but by mixing them I've got more than 3. So I've just got a pale, a medium and a dark, and they're not so bad spaces those, but if you look on the end here, there is a little bit of colour on there. So now I've finished, I'm just going to take that off. So you can, if you remember to do that, because you could be working from dark brown, black to white, so you want to remember to do that. And so again, I take the palest one first and just kind of just stroke in, and they're very soft. They almost disintegrate on the page because it's a pastel. But I was very surprised there's no tooth on this paper, and normally when you use pastels you need a rough surface. You need something for this pastel to grip into, and yet it's actually sitting quite nicely on here. I don't do a very big space because then you can remember where you've just been, and you don't really want to be putting your arm over it because you will smudge it. I mean, you will smudge normal work, but you will definitely smudge it. So then I go in with the second colour. So when you do this technique, you can either go lighter, a lot of light, or a lot of pale colour, or just a little bit of highlight and mainly dark. I'm just kind of bobbing in where I think there should be the real colour, which is the white one. So it's not a highlight and it's not a low light, it's not a shadow, it's the real colour of whatever it is. And then you go in with the dark one, which is a shadow. And even though these pencils are blunt, I'm getting some quite nice areas to colour. And you can make things a bit darker if you want, or a bit lighter. But the grayscale is brilliant because you know you're just scratching a little bit. And you can hold the pencil that little bit looser as well because you just want a hint of that colour. And blow gently because you want all the dust away. And then you just very carefully, let's see if I get any further. Can everybody see that okay? can actually push that down slightly. Bear with me 2 seconds, just move that across. Oh, the colour's better now. That's better. It doesn't like it if you take it away too much. So this has been mixed and this hasn't. So again, just the pale bits there, just pushing in. I've really got to try and get that to a little point because I'm going over the colours and I don't really want to. So the other thing that I intend, I'll finish this one and I'll push it down. Hope you can see that okay. Just pushing that because it wasn't sharp, it didn't go to the edges. Now obviously I really could do with a very, very soft, small blending tool, but this is the only one I could find. The one that I liked, so you can just push that colour right to the edge and just so you're doing all the work with the blending tool. And again, it's quite soft, so there's not a lot of pressure on your hands. Again, you're just squishing a little soft thing across. So I was quite pleased I'd found another way of working. And again, these colours are so different from the Inktense and the Hydrus. And so again, I was a bit nattered about how I was going to actually do these colour books once I bought them, because the Bennett Klein one are on almost photocopy quality paper. So it's very thin, and I can do watercolours on it, but I do watercolours in the Colin Thompson book, and I do watercolours in my other colour books, and I do Hydrus in the other books. So I did want something a bit different. And I thought, I don't think you're supposed to use pencils like this. But when I looked on the website, this is exactly how she used it. So I was quite impressed with myself. In fact, I actually woke my husband up and told him about 4 in the morning. I'm using something in its proper way. So this is going to be a little bit darker, and I've missed that. I didn't know if that was actually going to be wood. I think I've actually done that darker, haven't I? Yeah. I see here. It's always good to look back. Whoops, sorry, I've got something in the way now. I did this the spiky bits here, a little bit darker. Maybe I should have made that a bit woodier. But I have done it a little bit darker. So I could bring that dark olive in, I think. And yet it doesn't look a dark olive. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play with this. And so I've got the palest one first. So there really isn't at all very much there that's pale. And then maybe most of that would be this one. And then I'm going to put most of this to be dark. I think it'll probably do it on its own. We'll see what this does. But the beauty of these is you can go back over the top, because nothing's set. This can be wiped away. It's nothing set. I mean, it will make a mess of your page because it will smudge out of the lines. A bit of a blow, and then again just stroke that colour around. It's a bit. Make sure you've got your pale colour first. And I even thought I could do some nice backgrounds with this, because these will smudge into beautiful backgrounds. Again, look, you just tease that. There wasn't any colour up to that line. A smaller blending tool would be perfect, but it's still not so bad. do that very carefully. Move that across. I think the colour might be a bit better. I'll just have a very quick look at the, oops dear, at the, yes, it's blurred, so apologies. I didn't change it. Sorry about that, that's better. I thought it looked like I've been looking at through dirty glasses. So I've got the actual butterfly's body to do. The other thing would be good for this particular little book is I would have a colour swatch. I would have a colour swatch here of the darkest to palest of every colour. So although I would have the 72 pastels in here, that would give me 720 colours and 10 shades. That's 720 colours from 72. So I'll have 72 solid colours, which will give me the flat basic colour that I've been using here, and then I will have a scale. And they're going to be very pale, because obviously these are pale, but you know, you're going to get at least 5 shades out of that one. And so I don't really know what these pencils are going to do. Now there's a French grey, which is normally a little bit of a warm grey. There's a chocolate, there's an umber and a sepia. In fact, there's 2 chocolates. They've got this thing about an A, B, C, D and F. So if we take our little practice here, that's quite a nice one. That's sepia. And it's just different subtle changes. And there's 2 chocolates. In fact, I've got 3 chocolates. No, I've got 2 chocolates. So I think I like those 2, even though that's a chocolate and that's a sepia. That's chocolate and that's chocolate. I like those 2 together. So that is umber and sepia. Oh, sorry, there wasn't chocolate. So again, you know, you couldn't really tell which one was which there, I don't think. Again, these are cracking at me because they're kind of peeling off. But that's only because I've had them for hundreds of years. So that's my fault. So again, I think that's the palest one. So where, I think I'm just going to do the top bit of the butterfly's body and kind of there, and then kind of just the tiniest amount of colour. And I've made a bit of a mistake, so I need an olive there because there was a little bit, and I do have a bit of a point there, so I can smush that into there. So that's going to make his antennae pop out a bit better. And again, smooth these colours out. And then these, just the subtlest of colours just change there. So I don't need those again, they can go straight back away, which is good. Because I'm not very good at choosing where I put things. And that was the dark olive, which I wasn't sure I was going to use. So I'll just leave that there for the moment. And we'll go down this little section down here. So the butterfly is now finished. And I'll work on this section under there. So again, I'm going to start with the palest first. So thanks for joining me, and I hope everybody's had a wonderful start to their new year. And I'm not going to do any light up there because there isn't any. So there's no point, it's all shaded. So I want the next one, which is again the palest, but we don't have a lot of that there. Most of that, and a little bit of that. And then of course the darkest, there's quite a lot. And you just have to have just a touch. And again, the color changes, the angle changes for the colors, for the shades. Oh, hi, Bookworm. Anybody else joining us? Welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm on part 2 of the Bennett Klein Colour My Sketchbook. I'm using pastel pencils. Because I'd found them in my stash and I thought I'd have a bit of a play, and then realised I actually quite like them. And they're quite soft on your hands because they're very, very, you know, they are pastels. So you're just kind of scratching the little amount of kind of chalky colour on. But these are light fast. Not that it makes much difference in a colour book. I do have a bit of a, in fact I'm not going to have a highlight, but it's a highlight on the darks. I'm using the mid-tone, and that will look like a highlight. So it's a little bit dusty. So if you've got asthma, finish a little section and blow it away. And use the blending tool to kind of push it around where you want it. And I have gone over in places, but I have somewhere I've got a sharpening rubber. It's an eraser. It's like a pencil, but it has an eraser all through the centre of it, and you do actually sharpen that one. I don't know where that is. Can I think where that is? Let me have a very quick look. Oh, look what I found. Oh my goodness. Now I found, isn't it amazing what you look for? Again, I was going to give all these to my daughter, these pastels. So I'll probably give her these. But I think you can buy some of these in a set, in a drawing sketch set. So I've just actually found 7 more of these. So I don't know if they are. There's a Chinese white. Yeah, they're all the same. I think they're all the same. So I probably could give the girls these. Yeah, I found the same colours. But they do have A, B's and C's of them, so we'll have to have a bit of a look at that. I was looking for. Possibly in here then. I have found another one. That's a Spectrum Blue. I definitely don't have that one because it's a dark colour. This is why I knew all my pencils needed sorting out. I just want to find. You could have a little brush and no, you couldn't. You couldn't have a little brush. Just ignore me. That was a silly suggestion. Just to see if how good it would roll over. It should do. It should do. But, as usual, you can find everything that I don't need and nothing that I do. Oops. I don't think I've worked with charcoal. You can wet charcoal, but you don't need to because there's a lot of nice pencils. Come out, wherever you are. Oops. can't find it. I think I'll probably give it to the girls. I found a little eraser on the end of this pencil, so that might do. I just wanted to rub that little bit out there, look. Yeah, it rubs away really nicely. But you can't do this. So if you want to rectify that, I'd probably make it go through with a darker background. So where you've kind of gone over, especially there, you can just take that away. And there. And I kind of made a mistake there as well. So, but there is a pencil that has an eraser right through the centre instead of lead, and you can sharpen that to a very sharp point and use the eraser to do that one. I may do a background actually, so I don't need to fuss too much because I can't remember. Can't make my mind up just at this minute. So I kind of just about got rid of that little area that I went over there, and here as well. So it's worked quite well. I wouldn't use the electric sharpener on that. I think that would be too... before you'd finished, you'd rubbed everything off. Again here, just on this bit here. That's another bit that wants to be like that. I suppose to be very careful, you could use a very soft brush. You see, as soon as you touch it, you smudge it. You see. So a brush wouldn't be any good. So I'm going to do this bottom bit here, then I'll do the rose. So thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you're all having fun and getting on with things. So I'm using May Green as the palest one. And again, because this now is kind of out in the open bit, but again, there's not going to be so much light there, so a little bit of that one and then a lot of this mid-tone. And although it seems I'm pushing down, I'm not really. This is behaving itself quite well. And then of course we've got our darkest tone, which is Deep Olive 74F. And again, that's going to be another easy one just to kind of smudge in there. And then I actually like putting it over the top because I don't like the black, solid black colour, because that looked quite nice, that bit there and in there. So a quick, and then again I didn't clean that, so I'd use the darkest colour last. So a baby wipe, and then it should be a kitchen wipe, a dry kitchen towel, not your sleeve. But my cardigans I wear till they go bobbly, and then they become my art cardigans, so I've got quite a few art cardigans. So I've got the old-fashioned getting dressed up for dinner ball gowns, and I've got scruffy cardigans with paint on them, and I don't really have anything in between. So try to do the next colour next. So you got the mid one next, and you can manoeuvre it up and down the pale highlighting colour. And then lastly it's the olive, the dark. And it looks quite nice over the jet black as well. So if it's just solid black colour, I've still put that over there. And it's fairly quick. It's fairly quick, you know. It's if I just zoom out a minute to show you and have a quick slurp of tea. Yeah, it's 3/4 done now. So it doesn't take long at all, you know. That's taken about, not quite an hour because I've been nattering, but probably it would have taken me an hour. That took me an hour to do, so probably it could take me a couple of hours to do all that if you were just sitting down doing it rather than chatting like me. Chatting like me. So I just have a warm cold tea slurp. Has anybody got any questions? Oh, thanks, Scooby Girl. Bye. Have a lovely afternoon. I say that. It's 3 o'clock here, so enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks for stopping in. So I shall zoom back in and finish off this butterfly. I've got 2 roses to do, so I'll do I do 2 flowers. So I've got the palest here. So again, if I didn't natter too much and stop looking for things, I might get it done quicker. So I think that's a leaf. I did that last time, but I think they're leaves. I don't think, oh, it could be a rose there. But that one I think is definitely a leaf, that one. I think it's going to morph into a leaf. And so I want this second colour, so everywhere else gets that second colour. And then I've got the darkest one to do further round. And I've coloured that one in. I did that last time, and that is definitely a leaf. So isn't that magic? You could actually, and because I'm not actually on there, I can get rid of that. So it's taken it almost completely away. And then for some reason I can't see this dark on here, but if it's not on the other ones I'll put it on because I quite like this one. And I did actually a little bit of a point to this one. So, but even putting a line is enough. And then when it's really black, obviously it's got to be on the rose to be black, but when it's really dark, so I'm going to take the blending tool and we'll start the palest, push that colour everywhere it needs to go. So you don't need to get close to the edges, which is quite nice, because you know you've got a big thick chunky brush. So again, I just have to hold it like that just a little bit, because I don't really want to mix that darkest one in yet. So you're mixing the palest and the second palest, the mid-tone. As I say, it would be a lot better if I had a smaller blending tool. But it does quite a good job of blending. And then we can go in with the really dark one and then just smudge it where you need it. Sorry, the camera's really next to the... And then you can manipulate that if you've not caught everything the first time. Because this colour will move wherever you put it, because there's nothing holding it to this paper at all. Absolutely nothing holding it. It doesn't look very pink there, but it is pink. In fact, it isn't. It's a different. It looks a different colour. So I'm going to have to do all the same things, the same colour, because I've obviously dropped a boo-boo there and changed colours. So I'm going to get rid of that terracotta, and I'm going to look for the spectrum. I wonder if it was that terracotta that I used. Maybe it was that terracotta that I used. Let me have a look. So there's that one, and that one, and that one. So let's see if we can rub the whole of that rose out. Because I've made a mistake, and if you look, the others are pinky, and that's definitely a different rose. So let's see if we could take the dark off. See if we can rescue the rose. Because it's only very lightly on there, there is no reason why it won't come off. And we're actually going to do it again so we can get rid of that. Looks a little bit better. So I can possibly go in with a little bit of paler colour here. And maybe I did use that dark colour, but not in the same way. So again, clean the tip of the blending, and just going to tease a bit of colour back in. So we've still got a little bit of that dark, so maybe I used it up there, but not there. I don't know why I did that. I mean, they don't have to be the same colour, but it's just me being me. So we have another rose up here, and I smudged some yellow on there. So again, let's see if we can get rid of that yellow. And while we're here, we can get rid of a bit of that blue. Yes, it's not too bad. It didn't come off that yellow a lot, so that has got to be some other colour that I've had on my hand somewhere. So we'll go back to our 3 colours. And, this is the mid-tone. This is the palest colour. And it literally just smudge off. It's really well behaved. I've made a mistake there, because that should be that there. And then we'll have the second one, just to kind of smush in between, give a bit of contrast. I think 3's enough. I mean, I think that's a leaf. I think they're leaves. So I shall just take those out. I seem to do more rubbing out than I do colouring in. Right, so now I'll go back to the blending. Oh, bye Grammy, thank you for stopping by. I'll zoom back in and then you can see, hopefully. And we just want the tiniest amount of kind of highlight, well, highlight shadow in here. Just a little bit. So go on the top one and push it round so it's soft, and then you can push that up to the petals edges. Do the pale ones first, and then manipulate the other one round so you get a nice effect and you get rid of all the sharp lines. But most of the hard work's already been done for you, so it's not too bad. So I would have liked a different leaf green actually on there, so have a look what we've got. I don't really want an olive green. Oh, I think I used hooker's green, I think. So I'm going to just put a little bit of hooker's green on that one. There. And on this one here. And I think, yeah, I think this is a different green. I'm going to do that different green, I think. And possibly those 2. Possibly those 3. I think that's a different one, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to smush that in there. And there's a slight pink on there because I didn't clean the end. It's got to be clean and dried, because you get your pinks mixed in if you don't, and we don't really want the pink in there. I want to finish this if I can on this one, and then I'm going to do the Joanna's Christmas, because I want to finish the Christmas ones, because I think a lot of people will have actually had them given for Christmas, and so I didn't get mine till I think the middle of Christmas, so I've got a long way to go. So I'm going to try and get those done as quick as possible. I'm going to get rid of the hooker's green because I don't want that. So we'll go with the palest first. Whoops. So I'm just going to finish this little bit off here first. And again, there's obviously a lot more dark on there. So we should be finished in another half an hour, probably, this one. Just pushing that colour around. Now I don't actually have to clean the brush because it's going to be on there anyway. So again, a little bit of the palest colour. And again, this is where it's going to be the highlight. And then everywhere else you can have the mid-tone. Oh dear me, that was wrong. Yeah. Just can't get a little bit of colour on there because I can mix it all in. There definitely is going to be any highlight there, any pale highlight there at all, and then we're going with the darkest. Which is going to be all the way down there, I think, maybe. And there's a little bit of a sharp edge on this, so I can this pencil, so I can still get a little bit of a rough edge if I want. And then we know, oh, that's going to be kind of dark. There's definitely no highlight up there. Just push that up there a little bit, and then it's the palest first. Again, it would be a lot better if I did have a proper sized smudger, but I don't know what I've done with them. Again, up to the line and then tease it down. Very similar to watercolour, you're blending your palest first, your palest colour into your second palest colour, and then you put your second palest into your darkest colour. That's the best way to do it. But it's very well behaved. It does most of its does most of it for you. A lot easier than blending anything else because it's just soft pigment colour. And all it wants to do is to smudge into everything else. It really doesn't want to do anything else. Now if it had a key, if you did this on proper pastel paper that's kind of really rough, some's almost like sandpaper, then you wouldn't be able to manoeuvre it quite as well as this. But this is because it's on very thin, slippy paper with no key. And as I said, I didn't expect it to work, but it's doing quite well. So I've just got to rub that little bit out because I caught that, and then stroke that round. So it's working quite well actually. I'm just going to just do this section again. I keep picking up that one. So this is the palest, and this is on the edge, so there'll be a little bit more light on this one. And again, you know, that's how Bennett Klein's drawn it. He's put more light on this one than in the middle, because the light's hitting this where there's not a lot of light hitting that one. So all the work's really been done for you, which is kind of them to do that. I mean, if you really wanted, you could just take one colour and just go over it, and you would still get a lovely effect, because it's the grayscale. And then finally the darkest, and we've almost finished. This is the last bit, and that's our first page in the Bennett Klein book completed, which has taken, you know, I've done it in 2 videos. So that's taken a couple of hours, or 2.5 hours. It would have been less if I didn't go off on a rabbit dropping trail, searching for pens and nibs and sharpening pencils. So we're just kind of carefully smushing this in. Are we doing some smushing? Smushing and blending. Can always do with a bit of smushing. And then you can think about a background if you want to, or you can think, I actually quite like the white background or these pastel colours. If you did a very dark background next to these colours, you know, they would really pop out. And then just have a look, see if you haven't actually missed any. And then you might look at this bit and think, oh, actually I want a bit more colour there. Oh, hi Dee Dee, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Thanks for stopping in, I do appreciate it. I know everybody's quite busy. I'm just going to put a little bit darker in there. Just want a little bit of darkness, just so it matches the rest, but that is going to be a little bit of a pale one, that one, I think. So as I say, I should have had a smaller blendable tool, but I was on the verge of giving these to the girls. I think that's just about finished, so I quite like that. A black background could be good, but I actually quite like a paler book one. Hi Eileen, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm just going to zoom out and finish my first Bennett Klein page using pastel pencils, these Derwent Pastel Pencils that are very, very, very pale. So if you moved your hand across that, it would smudge. So you can either spray it with hairspray, or I think I made a bit of a mistake up here somewhere, didn't I? Or you can, and it rubs off because there is no key to this at all. And a key is a very, very good quality pastel pencil. Will be almost like fine sandpaper, because you need a key for it to stick to. So at the moment this is just kind of floating on the top, which is why you can rub it out. But I can't do this because it will smudge, and I'm not going to go into too much because I've got a very, very fine pencil eraser somewhere, and I'll probably kind of go in and finish off with that. So you can either spray it with hairspray, but it would go darker, but not too dark, but it would definitely go darker. Or I'm just to actually put a piece of photocopy paper in between. But I'm quite impressed with the colours. Again, that's probably the nearest colour. That's a little bit more colour to those. But I don't think I'd like to get too messy with them. But I quite like them in a pencil form, and you've got a lot of control over them with the blending, I say little blending tool. Oops, I did this on, I think it was Sunday. I just need to put a little bit of hooker's green in this particular leaf to kind of green it up a little bit to match all the others. And then I'd forgotten. In fact, I could actually rub that out. I'll smudge it in and then I'll rub it out. That's just given that green, that little bit more rose colour green. And then I can use the eraser to just take that off. So it's a bit more difficult when you've actually blended it in. But it's almost come out. It's almost all come out, that colour. There's no colour at all. So I can go in that with hooker's green, which is very pale, and smudge that together with the tiniest bit of a darker colour, I think, maybe. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm quite pleased. I was worried about what I was going to use because I knew I couldn't use watercolour because it's very thin paper in this Bennett Klein. Oh gosh. Oh dear. Dee Dee says she's sitting on the floor with 6 foot of scrapbook paper. That's taller than me, that. So I would think it would be okay just shutting it. And they're only single-sided. But I'm going to probably put, in fact, I might not put anything in between. I might just shut it, I think. So that's the end of part 2 of the Derwent Pastel Pencil Bennett Klein colour page, the first one of 2017. Thanks for watching.